What's up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. As you'll notice, if you watched my last video, which was actually my update video, I look exactly the same as I did in that video, and that's because I'm recording this the same day. So if you're wondering why, you know why. I figured I'd just go ahead and do it because it's fresh on my mind. You know, I'm already at it, so I might as well just go ahead and get it done. Another thing is, if you hear any kind of howling or meowing or anything in the background, my cat is in heat and she's an inside cat, so she's been wandering around from time to time. She gets a little loud. So if you hear anything, I promise you nobody's killing my cat. She's just, being a cat. I need to get her fixed, but to be honest with you, I feel like it changes them a little bit. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. But anyways, if any of you have ever had cats, I mean, you can tell me what you think, if you think I should or shouldn't. I just feel bad. I feel like it changes their whole personality, and I don't want to do that to her. I just love her the way she is. But anyways, I digress. This isn't about my cat. All right, so if you hear anything, you know what it's about. So this video is basically me just explaining to you how my position has changed in some ways, and correcting some things that I said in my Ultimate Live video. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the stars, the celestial bodies in the sky. So after I uploaded my video, and I was showing the stars and talking about them and everything, someone had posted a comment on that video, and they were talking about how, in a lot of the videos of the stars and stuff, they were saying that, they can be out of focus, and that may be why they look the way that they do. Now, I took this person's comment to heart, and I went and looked into it. And they are correct, that they can be out of focus, and when they are out of focus, they have a tendency to look a little blurry. They're not as defined, they're not as clear, obviously. So they were right about that. However, it doesn't really change my overall point that I was making in that video. The point that I was making was that you and I, everyday people, okay, we cannot strap ourselves into some vehicle that has the capability of flying to the stars and then touch and manipulate them and look at them and figure out what they are and how. We can't do that. Okay, so all we can do is go off of our experience, right? What we can see of them. That's it. That's all we got. And so from this vantage point down here on the earth, if you will, they're just lights in the sky. They're twinkly, bright, super bright, I would say, twinkly lights. And the thing is that they're not as NASA has depicted them. So I don't know how you make the jump that these balls of flashing light go from that to now all of a sudden they look like perfectly smooth spherical balls that aren't flashing and bright anymore. Like, how does that make any sense? It just doesn't make any sense. So if you have a $1 million telescope, well, then you can see it for what it really is, which is a terra firma ball that we can walk around on. They're not actually flashing bright lights in the sky. They're physical balls we can walk around on. And I'm not trying to be condescending or rude or anything about this. I'm just trying to be logical here. And logic tells me that those bright, shiny, flashy, twinkly things up there are going to be bright, flashy, twinkly things, whether I'm down here looking at them from the earth or whether I'm right up next to them. In fact, I would think if I'm right up next to them, they're probably going to blind my ass. I don't know. The point is that I can't go to physically check these things out. All I can tell you is what I can see. And what I can see is that they're flashing lights in the sky. That's it. No more, no less. So my position hasn't changed at all on that, other than just to say that I don't know what they are, other than they are lights. That's it. And they move around the sky. That's all I know. Okay, the second thing that I wanted to touch on was about the horizon. I talked about the horizon, and one thing, when you first come into this topic, it seems like, I don't know why this is, but it seems like a lot of people run into the same channels and the same people when they're new to this. Not everybody does, but a good majority of people run into the same channels and the same information when they're just beginning to learn about this stuff. So if any of you have looked into this topic at all, you'll know who I'm talking about when I mention Eric Dubay. Eric Dubay has a channel on YouTube, and on his channel, he has a video called 200 Proofs for a Flat Earth. And that video right there, I don't think there's a flat earther that hasn't seen that video or doesn't know who Eric Dubay is. The point is that there's a lot of bits of information that it seems like every beginner to flat earth learns, okay? And one of them that you hear when you first come into this is that the horizon always rises to eye level. That's not actually true. And I'll tell you why. Because again, I think I might have mentioned this in my update video. I don't know if I did or not, but there's a lot of little things that you just accept because it sounds right, but you don't actually stop and think it through enough. The horizon's one of those things, right? So I just took that as, well, that sounds right. Yeah, it looks like it rises to eye level, right? That's how it, like if you're in a plane, it seems like it's coming up wherever you go, there it is. Well, let's talk about how the horizon is formed. The horizon is a product of your vision, right? It's the way that your eyes work. It's an optical phenomena. So it's not, we can't see forever, okay? So at some point, depending on the weather, the temperature outside, if it's foggy, humid, some days you might be able to see very, very far. And other days, you might not be able to see very far at all. But the horizon moves around depending on the weather and depending on all these other little factors that will play a role in how you see the horizon. Ultimately, the horizon is defined as the place or the point where the land or ground meet the sky. Well, I said that wrong. I apologize. It's the point where the sky meets the ground or sea. That's how horizon is defined. Okay, so think about that. Think it through. How can the horizon rise to your eye level or be at eye level if it's where the sky meets the ground you're standing on? So where the sky meets the ground is where you're standing. So it's under your feet. It's not up at your eyes. Your eyes are above the ground. So the only way that I think you could really say that it's at eye level is if you're in the water. Say you're out in the ocean and your eyes are like just above the water, the surface of the water like this. Well, then the horizon will be right at your eyes because where the sky meets the surface of the water. So that's another thing that's changed for me is the horizon doesn't rise to eye level. It can't because it's formed where the ground meets the sky or this level of the water meets the sky. So not that big of a deal, but this is just about being specific, being careful about the words that we're using, and using them as they're defined, using them in their proper context, okay? We don't need to be twisting things around. We need to take these things as they're defined and use them properly. We need to be specific. We need to speak clearly and be sure about what we're saying and how we're saying it. So that brings me actually to my next point, my next change in position, if you will. This one seems to be a little bit more like it touches a nerve with some people. And I kind of get why, but at the same time, I just don't really think it's that big of a deal. So you're probably going to call me pedantic for this, and that's, yeah, pretty much what it is. But talking about the way that words are defined, let's talk about the term flat. The term flat is not a shape, and it's not an orientation. Flat is a description. It's an adjective. It describes the surface of something. Okay, and also flat means that the surface has no change in elevation across its surface. No change in elevation. So I don't know how we can really call the Earth flat, considering that our topography of the surface of the Earth has extreme changes in elevation when it comes to the topography. The fact that it has topography alone tells you that it doesn't fit the definition of flat in terms of its surface. I don't know why that's such a big deal to people, why people get so upset about that, but I mean, like, are we going to be honest with ourselves, or are we just going to are we going to start doing what the Globers do, or what other people who believe in heliocentrism and other things do, and twist the words to start fitting our biases? Because I don't think that that's very honest. Now, let me just make this clear to you. If you want to use flat earth, that's fine. I mean, I know what you mean by that. I get it. To you, in your mind, you're experiencing the world like the surface of the earth, because that's where you live. So you're on the surface. And the surface of your earth seems to be stretched out in front of you. And then it's got topography and everything, and you're not denying that. I get it. I totally understand where you're coming from with it. I'm just saying that I'm trying to get away from using flat earth because, again, it doesn't really fit the definition. And if I'm going to be honest about it, that just is what it is, right? It is what it is. I have to call it what it is. Now, I got a couple other points to make on this, right? In terms of flat earth, that term, it's been demonized so bad. And that's another reason why I'm trying to kind of get away from using those terms. So I wouldn't call myself a flat earther. I wouldn't say I'm a flat earther. I just care about the truth. That's it. I don't need to be labeled as anything, right? I just am just me. That's it. Let me give you an example. A friend of mine who I love absolutely dearly. I would do anything in the world for this person. If they called me up right now, I'd be there. But we got into a conversation one day. I was listening to stuff about flat earth, and she had asked me, what are you listening to? And I told her, I said, I'm listening to a podcast, a discussion about our cosmology, the nature of our reality. And she kind of looked at me a little bit like she was trying to figure out what I meant. And I said, about the shape of the earth, basically. And she looked at me and she goes, are you one of those flat earthers? And my response was, I said, am I one of those what? No. I was like, I'm Amanda. I'm me. I'm not one of those flat earthers. What does that even mean? And she was like, oh, I didn't mean it like that. She's like, you know what I mean. I mean, you believe the earth is flat. And I'm just like, so that's my point. It's like the moment that you try to I didn't say anything about flat earth. I didn't say anything about none of that. All I said was the shape of the earth. That's it. And flat is not a shape. So, anyways, my point is that, if you want to keep using those terms, that's fine. Go right ahead. I'm not going to, I can have a perfectly fine conversation with you regardless of what you call it. I know what you mean if you say flat earth. So, but that's just my position on it. The other thing is that when it comes to the shape of the earth, I would say it doesn't have a shape. And we need to clarify what we're talking about here, because some people say the earth, and they're meaning the earth, meaning the soil and the water as a whole, is what they're referring to when they say the earth. For me, I mean the earth as in like the soil itself, the sediment, the soil, the sand, that is earth to me. I don't know, even if you're considering it as a whole, I don't know how you can really say it has a shape. If we just look at the surface of it alone, has such extreme changes in the topography that I just don't know how you can say it has I keep bouncing around here. I'm sorry about that. But I don't really know how you can say it has a shape at all. So for me, because I can't get outside of this reference frame, like the earth as a whole, I can't, zoom myself out like Minecraft or something and see it as a whole. I can't say. I don't know. Maybe it does. Maybe it does have some kind of shape that, holds it all in. I have no idea. And there goes my cat right on time. Let me go shut the door. I'll be right back. I'm probably going to have to edit this out. I'll be right back. I should have done this already. Let me just go shut the door. That way it's maybe not so loud. Okay. All right. So anyways, sorry about that. I had a feeling that was going to be coming soon. But the point is like, I don't know how you can really say it has a shape. I would say it doesn't have a shape. And if it does, I don't know what it is. It's that simple. And to be honest with you, I don't really care. I don't really care. It doesn't really matter to me. It's not really going to make a difference to me whether it has a shape or it doesn't. Whoopee-doo. If I found out tomorrow that it was like a dodecahedron or something, I'm fine with that. I'm totally cool with that. I understand physics, how water works, motion works, all these things work. It doesn't really make a difference to me what it is. But that's my position on that. That's how my position has changed there. I don't really claim a shape to the earth. And the final thing to share with you. I'm actually not going to go fully into my position on this next part. But I don't want to leave you hanging. So I'll give you a little insight as to what it's about, so that you'll know what to kind of expect my next video to be about. But let me just give you a little context here. So as I said a while ago, there's certain things that you hear when you first come into this. For example, that bodies of water at rest, the surface is always level. Water doesn't conform to the exterior of shapes. It takes the shape of a container. It must be contained. As you go along, you learn about, gas pressure requires containment, so we must be contained in some way. I fully agree with that. Things of that nature. But there's another thing that you hear when you first come into this. And this is another one of those things that you hear, but you never really think any further into it. Like, it makes sense to you, so you just accept it as the truth and you move on and never think about it again. So basically, one of the things that you hear is that the earth is stationary, right? That you feel no motion, you've never felt motion, and you should trust your senses. Now, the thing is, I can completely understand why people, accept that so quickly and don't think anything else about it. If you consider the fact that that is being put into comparison next to the heliocentric claim. Remember, in the heliocentric narrative or claim or rhetoric, whatever you want to call it, on that side of things, you're taught that we are gyrating through space, through an empty space, empty vacuum. And we're moving in 4 different directions simultaneously, and we are moving at unfathomable speeds, okay? So when somebody comes to you and they're like, don't you think that you would feel us gyrating through space in 4 different directions, moving at all these crazy speeds? Well, naturally you're going to say, yeah, I think I would feel that. So when somebody says, that's because the reason you don't feel anything is because it's stationary, it's not moving. You've never felt motion. You would know if it was moving. So you just kind of accept it again. You don't really think anything else about it. And it wasn't until it was pointed out by someone else that maybe we were wrong about that, and that it needs a further investigation, if you will. And so that's what I did. I looked into it a little bit further. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my position with you in my next video. The next video, it's going to be quite lengthy. I didn't want this to be too long, but expect the next one to be quite a bit longer, because there's a lot to go into with that. And I want to make sure that I lay it all out right for you. I don't want to leave anybody confused. I'm going to be going over just the basics of it, how it all came about, like what, break it down in terms of like just giving you a basic overview of, you know, what the position is, like what's being proposed here is actually going on. And as I said before, you know, this is really going to test your intellectual honesty. Me personally, when this was brought up and I first heard about it, I had no reaction to it other than intrigue, curiosity, excitement. Because for me, I didn't have any biases. Sure, I accepted stationary Earth, but I didn't have an emotional attachment to anything anymore. I didn't have an emotional attachment to any of that stuff. Again, I'm here for the truth. Wherever that takes me, I'm fine with it. If it's moving, it's not moving, whatever. It doesn't matter to me. I just want the truth. So that's what we're going to get down to. And I hope and pray that you're all intellectually honest enough to consider this information, look at the practical demonstrations. This isn't just words. There's actual proof, demonstrable evidence to back this up. There's many tests that have been done, physical tests. And so I'm going to share it with you and go over it with you because I think that people need to know about it. I think that we need to come to terms with reality, with objective reality, and we need to learn to accept it for what it is, whatever it is. So yeah, I hope that you'll check out my next video. I hope that you enjoy this one, and I will talk to you all soon. Have a good one.